Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Jack JCB Ranking Stand Fight series with me, Little N, and your host, Jack JCB.
Oh my god.
This time we're going over part 5, Golden Wind / Vento Oreo, however, depending on what country you're from, how easy you find it to pronounce that name. Either way. There are some really cool fights in this part, I think. Very consistent overall.
You're just gonna do the whole job.
Yeah, you don't need to speak. Mute yourself.
Damn, alright.
My channel now. All 40 subscribers.
Oh, 40. It is like 40, isn't it? Anyway, do you wanna explain your profile picture, Nathan?
Right, well,
Because you were fused last time, and now you are,
I'm a man of many faces. You see, we have that one character from Kill la Kill because I like Kill la Kill. We have the character Walter White because he is funny. And we have the character Bean Boy because of a funny inside joke that no one else will get.
Yeah, no one else will get the Bean Boy joke. Oh my god. Anyway, right. So yes, we're doing part 5 as previously mentioned, which I really like, and apparently Nathan doesn't as much.
Yeah, I think there are better ones out there.
I
Still
agree
enjoyed it,
with
though.
that. I agree that there are better parts, but it's still like a phenomenal. Well, to be fair, I think every JoJo part is like equally as good, apart from a couple. So
I mean, there are no bad ones really, apart from part 1. Well, that doesn't count.
yeah, I wouldn't say even part 1 is bad. It's just sort of like mid.
It's trite, I think is the word. It's been overdone.
Yeah. Like it was good on the first time viewing, and then like in comparison to all the later parts, it's just not as good.
Indeed, it's just blown out the water.
Yeah. This is a not a tier list. We're rating each fight out of 10. And it's not objective. It's literally how much we enjoyed the fight. Like genuinely, just how much I enjoyed the fight, or remember enjoying the fight. But my enjoyment is affected by a couple of things: is how cool the enemy stand's power is, how cool the protagonist's power is, and how the powers are used against each other in a smart way. Like I like it when the enemy stand user is overcome in a smart way instead of just oh, we decided we now won, or someone else came in and won, which doesn't happen a lot in JoJo, but it has happened a few times. But
other shows just have them punch them to death.
Yeah. The more interesting or smart, I don't want to be like, oh, smarter the better, but if I'm like, damn, I would never have thought of that, but that makes so much sense, then that's good. That's a good fight.
Makes sense to me.
And obviously, if the fight's engaging and memorable, that again, yeah. We're going through, we're going through every fight except the initial fight, which isn't a proper fight, because it just isn't a way of introducing stands. So what? The first one is Sticky Fingers, Nathan.
Oh yeah, so we skip Koichi. That's the one, yeah.
Because he's just there's always a fight at the start of every part, which is just introducing the concept of stands, which isn't a proper fight.
Oh yes, of course.
It does not have the structure of a regular JoJo fight, so I don't count it.
Yeah, plus it's two heroes really fighting each other.
Yeah. Just a way to introduce stands as a concept.
Just a friendly little banter fight. Anyway.
Sticky Fingers. Also known as Bruno Bucciarati's Zipperman.
I quite enjoyed this one. I thought it's a good standard. Yeah. That's for sure.
It's good. I like it.
Bruno's a quirky character.
He is. He's a very quirky character with the whole licking. JoJo's face.
I can taste you.
Taste the lie in his sweat or whatever. I don't know.
The human lie detector.
Yeah, and it does use a lot of Giorno's powers, which he never uses again, which I thought were pretty cool, to be fair. Like, I really like the you punch the enemy and then their senses are way faster than their body. Like, that's cool. Like, they should have used that. Oh, sorry, Iraqi should have used that more. And
people have made excuses, but
people make excuses. But like, again, he's the writer. He can make excuses for those excuses. He can do what he wants. I still don't understand that criticism. Like, sorry, tangent. You can't just be
Oh.
you can't just be like, yeah, no, he can't have used this because he was never in reach of punching someone. When he's the writer, make it so he's in the reach of punching. Anyway, I think I've mentioned this before.
Indeed.
It's a stupid counterpoint because anyway, the actual fight, yeah, I think is really good. I like the way Zipperman is used. Sorry, Sticky Fingers. How I don't know how I said that. God,
Zipping person.
I should go kill myself right now. What the?
Yeah, man. You're not a true fan.
I'm not a true fan. No, Sticky Finger, like
Unbelievable.
the way that he blends into the crowd by like zipping on into someone.
Yeah, it shows that they're both competent people at least.
Yeah,
they know what their stands do.
yeah, and then the way Jono uses a fly to like find out which person he actually is, because he turned like one of his teeth or one of his hairs or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. Again, I could look it up right now. I've got the I've got the manga chapters open.
There we go.
What is it? What is it? It is a tooth. It is a tooth. There we go. I'm correct.
Yeah, I couldn't remember that honestly.
You couldn't remember that? Damn, that's like so cool.
That was one aspect that I always neglected to remember honestly.
Yeah, and then the way like Bucciarati, like I definitely didn't remember this. I'm just remembering it now. He got punched in the arm by Jono, and then Jono expected it to be like, oh, he's gonna have the slow effect, but then he like zipped off his own arm and zipped on someone else's arm, so he didn't do that. Like that's cool.
That was hardcore.
That's so cool. And then he zipped Jono, so he's now all like in tatters, but he still ends up ripping off his part of his arm and throwing it at Bucciarati as it zipped to have like a zoom punch, like a reference back to part 1. Again, that's so cool as well. Like, goddamn.
So many cool moments.
It's just such a great introductionary fight.
They're just both going at it.
Yeah.
They don't care about their own bodies.
Yeah.
Just want to kill the guy.
But then I guess it doesn't really end because Jono notices that one of the kids has drugs or something.
He just makes Bruno surrender out of sheer force of will.
Yeah, basically. But it was still
That's
great.
power.
It's a very good fight.
Honestly, I just think I'll give this one an 8 out of 10. Maybe it's just in hindsight because I like the characters.
Yeah.
But I still think that the way that they use their abilities, and just the way that, there's no holes barred. They generally they see each other as enemies.
Yeah.
So it's just whoever comes out on top. And even though the sped up consciousness set ability isn't really seen again, I think it's still really cool, honestly.
Yeah. No, I agree with all that.
Maybe it factors into God Experience Requiem, actually.
Maybe it does. Maybe it's all been foreshadowing and it's all whole loop. And it's just God Experience Requiem isn't a requiem of life, it's a requiem of speeding up your own. I don't know. Whatever. I would also give it an 8 then. Cool. Glad we agree.
That's a good standard for the rating, I suppose.
Yeah.
I'll just compare everything to this fight.
Fair enough.
Is it better or worse?
Fair enough. And I'll tell you, the next fight is Black Sabbath.
Oh boy.
Which is a very interesting fight. Because I don't think this is the first time, but it's like one of the first times we've had like a fully remote stand where the stand user just isn't really in the fight.
He might not even be aware it's going on.
Yeah, I don't think he is aware that it's going on.
He's just sleeping.
But it's an interesting concept about like the fire, the lighter, and like if you set it out, then the stand comes out and gives you a stand. It's just so weird that how the arrow is incorporated, and I still don't understand that. Is the arrow incorporated into the stand, or does the stand just have an arrow? Like,
I think it possesses the arrow, and it's kind of maybe it's like the guardian of the arrow or something.
Yeah. It's interesting.
My idea is that it's sort of. This seems a bit spitbally because it's never fully explained, does it? But it kind of works independent of Polpo. Polpo just sort of goes, hey, Black Sabbath, this guy's doing the trial, watch him. And then Black Sabbath will just follow him.
Yeah.
But it's really the arrow that decides.
No, that makes sense. I think I like that. But yeah, it's weird because this fight isn't like half of it isn't really a fight. It's more like trying to make sure that the fire doesn't go out.
Yeah, tension.
And then when the stand actually appears and it can like only appear in the shadow, that's cool and Koichi's there. But like it's just kind of a forgettable fight. I think people remember the Firelighter much more than the actual stand fight. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I
sort
don't
of
know
just
if you
the
agree
trial
with that.
itself.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's like definitely. I don't really remember how they win. It might be. I think it's to do with the roots and like Jono like
Okay,
the
he
ground
throws him into the
breaks.
sunlight.
And yeah, and then he like grabs hold of the roots and he makes the tree grow like a lot faster and it like goes old and then the sunlight comes through or something. I think.
Yeah, he does the classic JoJo move of punching a hole in the ground
Yeah.
and grabbing the tree.
Let me make sure. But yeah, no, it's just sort of
Yes.
it's like a good fight. Like it's cool, it's smart, but like yeah, it's just forgettable. So I'd give
Mm,
it. I still think it is good. So I would give it a 7. I think. I don't know if you agree
I
with
would
that.
agree with that score. Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, I think it's quite a fitting score, 7,
Yeah.
because
I
it's a
wouldn't
lot
say.
more interesting.
I wouldn't
You
say
don't
it's
know its gimmick.
boring. Like I
Yeah,
would say, if you think that us saying it's forgettable means it's a 5, I think 5 is just more. It's forgettable and it's also boring whilst you watch it. You don't really want to watch
yeah,
it. Whereas I'm still every time this comes up when I'm rewatching it or rereading it or watching it react, I'm like, oh, it's still a cool fight. I'm still enjoying it. It's just like after that, I'm like, yeah, okay, I completely forgot about this.
absolutely. Yeah, I think it's cool that there isn't a guy explaining the power. Well, there isn't a villain present explaining the power,
Yeah, yeah.
as is sometimes the case. But I also feel that once the gimmick is revealed, then
It
it
sort of
becomes a bit
loses it.
less interesting.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I agree with that. But yeah,
But it
cool.
does lead into some cool mysteries, like why does it even have the arrow in the first place, and what that does.
But which I
So
never
I think
answered.
in that way, it's oh dear.
I think
Maybe
that's.
that's for the best.
I think to be fair though, that is a constant with JoJo.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Oh my
particularly at the
god.
beginning as well. Why does the
Yeah,
guy have this item?
yeah.
Who cares? Moving
I
on.
know.
Plus, it
Anyway.
also it brings this whole Black Sabbath thing brings into question the ending as well.
Mhm.
Spoilers. Whoa, but then again, you wouldn't be watching this video if you didn't. Anyway, because of course, I think they've made the argument that the arrow that gives Requiem and the
Mhm.
arrow Black Sabbath has are different ones, right?
Yes. I think there's only one Requiem arrow.
But there's always that one pillock who asks,
Mhm.
but wait, Gold Experience got stabbed with the thing.
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
didn't it? But then, of course, I mean, I guess if you have at least one brain cell, you will understand by the end of the part. But there's always that one guy, isn't there? And
Yeah, there's
so
always that one guy. Yeah.
that's the thing about this fight. There's always that it leads that one guy to think that he's correct.
To be fair, if Black Sabbath had the Requiem arrow, god damn, that'd be an OP stand.
It's scary, honestly.
But it wouldn't be able to make itself Requiem, I don't think. That's the only drawback.
I guess that would have to be the case, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Otherwise,
yeah.
you'd have this. What would it even be? I mean, so it
I
turns
don't
a
know.
silver chariot into just a brooding guy who walks off.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, I still don't really understand Requiem. But anyway, next fight. But no point discussing
Maybe he
Requiem.
becomes Batman.
Maybe. Oh
Anyway,
my god. Right.
yeah,
Do you
moving
know what
on.
the next
Moving on.
fight is, Nathan?
Is it? Oh, damn it! Is it Soft Machine? Is that
Yeah,
the
that
one?
is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Soft Machine.
Oh,
This one's
brilliant.
cool. I like this. This one is really, really good at setting up stakes and tension and being like, holy, what is happening on this boat? We genuinely don't
Yes,
know. Everyone's just disappearing. It is masterfully set up,
I
really
think that's
well.
great in that way. Yeah.
And then the conclusion. Oh, well, let's go through it. Let's go through it. So
It's like a murder mystery.
it is like a murder mystery, and that's great. I really like it for that. So like they all get picked off one after another, and then Jono's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And then he gets picked off, and then Moody Blues gets introduced. And Moody Blues is really cool because it's not an attack
Oh yeah.
stand. Um, so it's the introduction to Moody Blues, and it also, you know, they see what everyone did and what happened. I'm like, cool, nice. And then Abakio also gets soft machined. I'm pretty sure, right? So then
Oh
it
yes, it's up
leaves
to Bruno in the end.
Bruno, which I think is cool because normally a lot of the times in fights it's like, okay, this is the protagonist of the fight, they are going to win the fight. But in this, you don't know. You don't know who's going to be the one last survivor. I think that's cool.
I've no clue.
Because to be fair, when I first watched it, when you first watch it, you think Abakio is going to be the one that's going to figure it out and win. But no, it's Bruno, with the help of Abakio, of course, which does again, it set the precedent for a lot of the fights in Part 5, which are 2 people in the fight. And they both
Yeah,
help
pretty
each other
much.
out.
It's a very isolated experience.
Yeah. And then the actual conclusion that there's a boat in the boat, that's kind of weird, but it, like, makes sense.
That's it. I mean, you just think, how can this happen?
Yeah.
But at the end, when you realize the powers, the abilities that you're dealing with, it just makes sense in the end.
Yeah. So
Just about.
I really like this. The mystery, the suspense of it, but there isn't really a back and forth like regular JoJo fights, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
Because the whole
It's still
point
quite slow
of
paced,
the
though.
fight is figuring out what's going on, and when they figured it out, they've won. Whereas normally in a JoJo fight, I could imagine if this was in like a regular situation, they'd be like, "Oh, I have now done this thing to this person. I've deflated them," and it's like, "Oh no, what can I do now? Okay, I've done this," and the other person's like, "Haha, well I deflated this, so I've done that." You know, that's how regular JoJo fights go. Okay, yeah, you know what I mean?
Pretty
Nathan?
much. Yeah,
So
it's a battle of wits, you know. But you
yeah,
can't really have wits if you don't know who the other guy is.
yeah. So I don't know if that's a drawback or if that's a strength because it's different. But anyway, I'm just mentioning that it is different in how it's
I think just
structured.
because of that, yeah, it deserves to be commended because it's
Yeah,
a break away from the traditional sort of idea.
yeah. I just feel like there is something missing in the fight a little bit. I just feel like it's just a bit of it is all like what's going on and then they figure it out. Like I would have liked a little bit more of a fight maybe, but I don't know, I still really liked it, so I'd give it an 8 personally.
Yeah, I would say the mystery is certainly. We would say 90% of it, right?
Yeah.
I was a bit disappointed that Abaku didn't really get to, I suppose, land the well, not really killing blow in the end, is it?
Yeah. Well, because the killing blow is whatever
Mm,
the hell the flipping dance scene is.
yeah, no way. That's what really kills him in the end.
I guess if we're counting that
But
part, I guess if we're counting that as part of the fight, it's a 10 out of 10 because
yeah,
the torture
11,
dance is great.
1,000,000 out of 10.
Um,
Okay, the fight. Maybe that they were fighting the air.
mhm. Anyway, is there anything else you want to add to Soft Machine, Nathan?
I would say it's definitely an enjoyable fight.
Mhm. What would you give it?
I mean, I say at times it makes the gang seem a bit incompetent.
Yeah.
With just, but I think that's kind of part of the charm, really, is that
Yeah.
they're not really intellectual fellas.
Yeah. To be fair, that is also every JoJo fight ever.
Yeah,
It's whoever the protagonist is the smartest one, and everyone else is dumb.
pretty much. Everyone kind of has a minor stroke and forgets that they have a stand,
Mhm.
and they go, "Oh, I died.
Yeah.
It's up to you,
fair,
fella."
yeah. No, definitely. I feel like Part 6 doesn't do that. I don't know if I'm correct in that, but I feel like Part 6 for a lot of the points, I think it just actually just isolates people so that they
Yeah,
can't join in. Instead of just being like everyone else is dumb, they literally just isolate everyone. I don't know.
yeah. I quite enjoyed that in part 6. Is that
Yeah.
if other people are present, they will help at least.
Yeah. So I don't know if you actually gave your rating for Soft Machine, so
I would give it a 7, honestly,
you would give it a 7. All right. Fair enough.
because I say it's not. It's definitely once it gets to the actual fight, of course.
Yeah.
Then there's not much to it.
I think that's
But I
fair
think
enough,
the mystery element deserves to be acknowledged.
Yeah. No, I think that's
It's not really like anything else,
Mhm.
and for that, I think it deserves quite a lot of recognition for that.
Yeah. Cool. Right.
Not
Well,
so bad.
next is Craftwork.
Okay, I like this one.
This one is so good. Oh my god. Honestly, I think Breath of the Wild made me enjoy this fight more than I
What
initially would have. Do you know what I'm on about?
Do you mean the stasis
Yeah,
idea?
it's just stasis. It's just stasis from Breath of the Wild. And that's
Before it was
so cool. That is so cool. It's already such a cool concept. But like thinking about it, like when you watch it, you're like, damn, I could do this in Breath of the Wild. It's just like I don't know. That just adds a higher cool factor. If you couldn't tell, I really like this fight. It's
Oh yeah.
it's weirdly not the most memorable fight in Part 5 for me, but every time I remember it, I'm like, god damn, this fight's so good. Oh my god. It's so cool.
It's very well planned out, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's kind of silly in some points, like how Giorno is like going up to the shed and he's like, "Is the guy in there?"
Where's the enemy?
And then he like drives a truck again to go out and find Mister, even though he's on his way back and already defeated the user at the end. Like that bit's kind of silly, but the actual fight on the truck, when they get to the truck, like everything before and after is just, yeah, a bit like,
We don't count that.
The actual fight, sorry, the before is a little bit silly. It's good setup though, but when we get to the actual on the truck, that's when the fight truly begins, and it's just really cool. Like,
Oh yes.
the way, I can't remember how the fight starts, but there's a lot of shooting because obviously it's Mister, so there's a lot of shooting going off. What I mainly remember about this fight, I'll go and quickly check what actually happens, but is the floating rocks when he's not on the truck, where he like uses the rocks as stepping stones to get back to the truck. That's really cool. Really like that.
Yeah, it's just a cool power in general.
Yeah, and then on the truck where he's slowly tapping this bullet, that is just, it's so good. It's so good. Because it obviously it makes sense, and it's stasis. So,
of course,
it's just a lot of fun. And then the way that he's beaten by like firing a bullet in the same place, yeah, okay. He just gets destroyed basically.
I think Mister was definitely the perfect character for this fight.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I mean, he's my favorite, but
is it?
From part 5.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So I just enjoyed it because he was in it. But at the same time, because of his projectile nature, I think to have him fight this guy, it was a good matchup, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was like basically the perfect matchup. It was just like, again, it feels like the fights in part 5 are just really well planned out with the protagonist versus the enemy a lot of the time, and the places they're set. It's just like, again, it's set on a moving truck.
Yeah.
Like, how many fights are set on the top of a moving truck which aren't just current action movies? Every single new Marvel movie. But in anime, how many fights are set on a truck?
Yeah, it's unique in this field. It's always unique in some way, okay?
Yeah. But anyway, I'm quickly just looking through the manga panels right now. He gets shot in the head, but he can stop bullets. Obviously, that's the whole point. Is that Mister has a gun and he's shooting the guy, but he can stop the bullets as soon as it hits his head, so he doesn't die from it. That's the main conflict of the fight, is trying to find a way to get through this defense of not
just
being
work around his limitations.
Yeah, literally, the only way Mister can kill him is by shooting him, but he can't die by being shot. So they're literally the perfect two people to go up against each other, and it's great.
Absolutely. I mean, with someone else, you could just stab him or punch him in the face, you know.
Yeah, do you have anything else to say about this fight then, Nathan?
I would say that I think, you know, when he actually gets defeated, when Mister kind of, he shoots half a bullet into his skull, which edges the other bullet into his brain, and then you can just see his face when he just dies, or you know, he just. And that's probably the best part.
It is. It's great.
But I think it's just a really cool fight.
Yeah. So for me, even though again it's not the first fight I think of when I think of part 5, but I think that honestly just speaks to the quality of the fights in part 5 overall. But I'll still give this a 9. It's amazing. I love it.
I'd say I give it an 8. Honestly, it's the same level I think as Sticky Fingers.
Okay, that's fair enough.
In that, you know, it's just two people going at it with all they've got.
Yeah.
And of course, it's really like a puzzle as well, isn't it? How does a guy who can only attack with bullets stop a guy who's effectively bulletproof?
Yeah. Again, that's why I love it.
Oh yeah, that's because that's why I love Sex Pistols. You know, it's just the way they operate. And they can work
against. That is a big part of this fight. Is just the actual stand is just so much fun. Like whenever they're on screen, it makes every scene better.
It's just one of the best ones, that's for sure. Like I say, it keeps the momentum going as well. It just keeps it flowing into the next arc.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And I suppose,
which is
because I think, it's not that important in the grand scheme of things.
It's really not. It more technically, it kind of it's the fights before the other group get introduced. So I guess it is. Maybe not important, but like it sets up the end of like the first couple arcs.
This is sort of like the introduction, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's the end of the introduction.
Really begins.
Yeah. But yeah, Nathan, what is the next fight? Nathan, go on.
I would assume it's Little Feet, right?
It is Little Feet.
And that's the one I remember. Well, hey.
Oh, right. I remember this fight just being really long.
It's just a bit
too long, honestly. But
keeps
it's still,
going and going.
it does keep on going. But to be fair, every section of it is still really good. It's just, yeah, it just keeps on. It just keeps on going. Like his stand is pretty. It's a pretty basic stand between, sorry, Narancia and obviously Little Feet. Little Feet. I don't know. I don't need to explain every fight. It's fine. You know what goes on.
Yeah, and everyone knows.
But yeah,
This is common knowledge.
yeah.
I'm
So
serious.
let me try and remember what happened. So they're in like, is it a bank or something? And Narancia is small. And then they get in the car, and Narancia's still small in the car.
He's got little feet.
Yeah, and obviously there's a shoot. There's like obviously Narancia has an aeroplane. He's shooting at it, and then it somehow, the villain also turns small, and Narancia's like trying to find him, but he gets on a bunch of rats in a sewer. And he's like, oh, which one's the villain? But he like knows because it's heavy breathing or whatever. And then after the sewer, there's still more after the sewer. By the way, this is what it should have ended, is the sewer bit. But no, he traps Narancia in a bottle with a poisonous spider. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. That thing is just that. It should be like the stand. It should just be a small fight.
Yeah. But he's like, oh my god, he's now trapped in a bottle. Why is he now trapped in a bottle?
Yeah, why can't you just squish the little bugger?
And then he's in a bottle with the spider. And then somehow it ends up blowing up a bunch of cars. And that's how they win, is by blowing up all the cars or something. Setting fire to a lot of the surrounding area, basically. So yeah, it just genuinely just feels like 4 fights. Like
A very bizarre one, to be sure.
But it's still cool. I just feel like Part 5 is the start of having more long, complex fights, and for the most part, I think it does it really well. Like, there'll be one coming up which is super long, and is really good, but I just feel like this doesn't work as well, because the stand user isn't that interesting. Narancia has a cool stand, but it's not, I don't think it's enough to carry the whole fight, as well as the enemy stand isn't that interesting enough to carry the whole fight. You know what I mean? They're both really simple stands, whereas if you want a complex stand fight, you need at least one of them to be a bit more complex than just one of them makes you small, one of them's an aeroplane that can detect oxygen. Like,
That's it. It's just a bit of a dud, I suppose.
yeah.
Because I think out of all the main characters, I think a tiny plane is not the most interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And that's coming from the same group of characters where one of them is just, I punch things, but sometimes they come alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think I like the idea of it. A race against time before you just become a little dude and just get squished. But at the same time, it was pretty excruciating.
Fair enough. What would you give it, Nathan?
Probably a 6, just because I think, of course, the idea of a character being at a disadvantage from the start, it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I actually remember being, I thought that Narancia would actually lose because he set out to be really stupid. Beforehand.
Okay.
I just thought, okay, he's gonna lose. He's an idiot.
Yeah.
Which I guess might have been a more interesting outcome.
No, definitely.
But at the same time, it would definitely be a bit weird. It would set a bit of a weird precedent.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I think losing fights is an interesting thing to do, but I don't know how it would have worked. But anyway, I still feel like I can't decide for this fight because again, a lot of the individual aspects of it I enjoy. It just feels like together they don't fit. So I don't know if I should, but I feel like now I'm saying that there is problems with it. I can't give it a 7 because 7 is just good. Whereas this just is good, but there's got problems. So I guess I have to give it a 6 by my own ratings. Even though it feels wrong to give it a 6, I guess to be consistent with my other ratings, I have to give it a 6, basically.
Yeah. Like I say, I mean, it's probably.
But in my heart, it's a 7.
It's not awful.
In my heart, it's a 7. But but yeah.
Well, I mean, nothing wrong with giving it a 7, surely.
No. Because it'll mess up my whole system. You have to stay. What is the word? Not standard. You can't. It's not standardized, but you know what I mean. Consistent. You have to stay consistent in your ratings. Otherwise, otherwise they don't have any meaning if you don't stay consistent in them.
Go with the brain.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I guess after talking too long about Littlefoot,
I guess it's not the best introduction to the Hitman team, that's for sure.
no, definitely not. I feel like maybe the
Little
next
man.
one would have been a better introduction, but maybe also wouldn't be because it's.
But I mean, as a side note, Little Feet isn't the one that has been seen as unoriginal, right? I think it was the one in part 6, wasn't it? Goo Goo
Yes,
Dolls
Goo Goo Dolls.
that was seen as a rip off of this one.
Yeah. Which I think is fair enough, to be fair, but.
Well, I mean, being small is quite a common
Yeah,
idea.
to be fair, Part 6 does it twice. No one realises.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
I think everyone forgets the second time it happens because it's just so much more interesting.
It's not just if you move away from the baby, maybe you get bigger.
Yeah.
Whoa.
It's generally so funny how people forget that it happens twice in Part 6. Anyway.
That's it. Well, I don't know. That is weird, yeah. Was that even the stand's power?
What? No, the stand's power was when you get closer to it, you get smaller. That is the stand. That is the power of the baby. Yeah.
It is bizarre.
Yeah. But I guess it's different because it's not necessarily like the power isn't you're getting smaller. The power is you can never reach it, which is it's kind of different, I guess. The power is you get smaller, but the purpose of it is you can never reach it. Whereas the purpose of
you see, what's the purpose of Little Feet?
The purpose of Little Feet is to become little so you're easier to kill. Whereas the purpose of
that's it.
The Green Baby is you can never reach it. Okay, right. Okay, don't matter.
There's no objective to Little Feet. It's just you are small now. Ha ha.
Yeah, but when you're small, you're obviously easier to kill, Nathan.
But what if you were microscopic?
Oh my god.
Then you couldn't even see the dude.
Yeah, well, you don't exist at that point.
Although maybe he could be killed by just a passing
bruise. Oh
my
god. Anyway, we are now on the fight.
If you're microscopic and you slip through the wind.
The Mirror Man. It's the man in the mirror, Nathan.
Is the wind microscopic? Or would you be able to see the tiny electrons that make up the breeze, and you could just avoid them?
Maybe.
Anyway, yeah, moving on.
Man in the mirror. Oh my god. I like this fight. It's good, but I preferred, considering it's the only Fugo fight, for Fugo to be in a better fight.
I know, it's very unfortunate.
So annoying.
He isn't really the only guy, is he?
Yeah, he's not.
He's thunder stolen by other dudes.
Yeah. God damn. This fight's still really good though. I just would have.
It's got a cool setting.
I would have preferred if Fugo just had a good fight on his own. Anyway, yeah, the setting's cool as well. Setting.
Just think the idea of having just fights in Italy. It's Pompeii, isn't it?
Is it Pompeii? Damn.
I think so. Because I remember it being a very old town where there weren't many people.
Yeah. No,
that sounds very, very shallow.
But yeah, so there's
That's what I know.
It's about a man in the mirror, and there's a mirror world and stuff. And again, this is also complex, because Fugo gets trapped in the mirror world, and his stand appears outside the mirror world, but his stand is deadly, so you can't touch it. And then they have a tussle, and somehow Abacchio finds the key, which means Man in Mirror is now fighting Abacchio with the key. And then
something.
But like half of Abacchio goes in the mirror world, but like he makes half of himself a stand as well, so he can somehow that makes him win that.
That is a weird idea, yeah.
Yeah, he somehow wins that interaction by making half of his body the stand. I don't really understand that. I did recently read this, and I still don't get it, but it's cool.
Yeah. Especially seeing as he doesn't do it again. But then again, that is a theme.
I think no, but to be fair, I think any stand user can do that. It's just make part of their body their stand. During the editing of this video, going back and reading this section of the fight, this isn't really what happens at all. The half and half with the stand and Abacchio happens because of Man in the Mirror, because half of Abacchio is taken into the mirror, so he takes half of the stand with him or something. Again, I don't necessarily understand, but it's not like he decided that he was gonna. He was like, yes, now I'm gonna do half of my stand, half of my body. It was brought upon by the Man in the Mirror ability. So don't listen to anything we say, basically, because we're talking nonsense.
I guess I can't really think of a situation where that would be useful elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, maybe to be fair, Diver Down does do it multiple times, but that is the purpose of Diver Down. So.
Yeah, that's his whole gimmick.
That is his whole gimmick.
Aye, man.
I think the point of it in this fight is because when you go through the mirror world, you stand and get strapped in the other side. So he like did it to somehow keep hold of the key. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, you know, it's the classic. You're at a disadvantage. How do you get out of this? But there are other guys around to help this time.
Yeah. So, I probably should reread this fight again. But anyway, this fight ends with
Not the best.
a snake brick, which leads Giorno, because Giorno gets put in the mirror world as well, and it leads Giorno to where the main villain is. So then Fugo also sees the snake, and then is able to kill the villain with his stand. And for some reason, Giorno also gets infected by... I can't remember why he gets infected by the virus. For some reason, he gets infected by the virus.
But it's okay, because he has the power that can do everything.
Yeah, so he has the power that can do everything, and he's able to cure with a vaccine, which doesn't make sense. Vaccines can't cure diseases or viruses.
The antigens just work too quickly. It's a super vaccine.
Yeah. But yes. It's still cool. I still like this fight. It's just a bit complex. But it's still really cool. Do you have anything to say about the actual content of this fight, Nathan? Because I feel like we've just sort of mumbled about nothing at this point.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's not really much to say about it, is there? It's just there's a dude. He's in the mirror. Kind of like was it Hangman? But I guess a bit more literal in that he is in the mirror.
Yeah.
In the mirror. But anyway,
in the mirror world, yeah.
I'll say, because I guess this is the first time it appears and only time. I like Purple Haze. I think it's a cool idea.
Purple Haze carries this fight, honestly. The only reason
I like how they did. I mean, I haven't read Purple Haze feedback, but I'm very glad that it exists, at least.
You need to read Purple Haze feedback. It's so good.
Because I think it is weighted potential just to have it appear. It's just once, isn't it? In this context, it's just once, and then because it's really cool to have this idea that you know it could hurt your friends, it could even hurt you.
Yeah. And it's such a cool design as well.
And it's crazy.
Its powers so it's honestly one of my favorite stands. So it really carries this fight for me.
This thing, it's a real shame. Why didn't you get rid of flipping Aerosmith?
I don't know. Yeah, to be fair, it kind of makes sense for Fugo, his character. But anyway, no more discussion about how the actual story layout is. I think if Purple Haze wasn't in this fight, this would be like a 6 or a 7. But because Purple Haze is in this fight, it's an 8 for me.
I would still give it a 7 just because there isn't really much to say about it, I suppose. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's just, it comes and goes.
Yeah.
Nothing really exceptional about it.
Definitely. I get excited for this fight just to see Purple Haze, basically. That is my enjoyment, is seeing Purple Haze. So that's
because the whole idea is, I mean, usually the protagonist stand will appear again.
Yeah.
And so in that context, this fight would be just a stepping stone.
Yeah, definitely. If Purple Haze didn't appear again, then this fight would be a lot worse as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
But because it's his only appearance, and it's just like, oh my god, he's here. I sound like such a fanboy, but he's so
it's him.
Cool. Yeah.
He really exists.
Oh goddamn. Anyway, this fight is technically just set up for the next fight anyway, because the key is used on a big turtle, Nathan.
Oh.
Or a small or a regular size turtle,
best one.
which is called big. And the fight being the Grateful Dead and Beach Boy.
Oh, a double page issue.
A double enemy stand user. Right.
Whoa.
Do you want to talk about this, or should I just start?
Hey, you have a go.
This fight's so good. Oh my god. It's so good. This is like one of the best JoJo fights just of all time. Like genuinely. If we're not counting final villain fights, this is like top 3 for me.
Blimey.
Really, I love this fight so much.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, I genuinely, I don't know why as well. It just takes that long, complex fight and makes everything make sense and develop in an incredibly, it just makes sense, basically. Everything, every step taken is like a natural continuation of the fight, and it makes sense that it goes on for this long because there's 2 users this time with both really interesting complex stands.
Oh,
there's multiple protagonists, the actual way that both of the enemies are used, and how Bruno and Mister, how they go through the fight, how they are beaten down a lot of the time. Like Mister gets shot in the head
Oh dear.
multiple times. Bruno is literally about to die because he's taken his heart out of his body. It's just incredibly tense. Like genuinely, like anyone could have died in this fight, but they pulled through. And the way that both of them were beaten, it feels so good at the end when he says Arrivederci and he wins basically. Like
My favorite part.
The setup is great. The developments of the fight's phenomenal. The payoff is phenomenal. I just love it. I don't know. I don't know what...
Yeah, there we go. That's all the reason you need. I mean, it almost feels like a series in itself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You could just separate this from the rest of the part, and it's just an isolated sort of your experience. You're on a train.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dude who wants to kill you.
Everyone's become old.
Man with a fishing rod.
Yeah, man with a fishing rod. The development of whatever his name is also like that is like one of the only times like a villain goes through development in a fight. You know what I mean? He's a minor villain and he gets a full character arc. Like, oh my god, it's so good. Like,
yeah, he should have been a recurring villain. Actually.
He should have been because he genuinely went through a full character arc. Nathan, come on.
Yeah,
come on,
he's inspired.
So you can't deny that this fight is like amazing.
These fights.
No, it's one long fight. It's one long fight.
Well, yeah, I guess you could say that. Either way, yeah, it's very enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
It's the train.
It's just the structure of it, you know. The train fights.
Again, it's another really cool concept. It's place for a fight as well. It's in a train. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. It's in a train, it's on top of a train, it's on the side of the train, it's out of the train, there's a fishing rod which goes through the train. Like, the setting, again, is just so cool. And there's a lot. I'm just realising it now. There's a lot of fights on moving vehicles in Part 5. And they're all really good. Like, genuinely.
Theme, but, I mean, yeah,
the Bruno fight is on a tram.
There's a plane, there's a car.
Kraftwerk is on a truck. This is on a train. There's one on a plane against Notorious B.I.G. Like...
what could you want? There are no other vehicles to be covered. Maybe bike.
Whereas in Part 3, like, the vehicle always crashed and then the fight occurred. The fight's actually happening on the moving vehicle this time, which I think is so much cooler.
Especially seeing it sort of isolates it even more to an extent. It's just... You can't really stop. Why would you stop the train, eh?
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. Because they can't stop it. I don't remember where they're going, but yeah.
Somewhere in Italy.
But yeah, again, it's another sort of like setup mystery, because again, who is the person making everyone old? Because you don't actually see who's making them old until like he's revealed. It's like, because he looks like an old man, basically. And the way that their two stands, Beach Boy and Grateful Dead, their synergy. Yeah, like, is there any more specific moments you want to talk about? Again, like, the actual, like, first part with Mister, and him going against the initial fight with Beach Boy and then getting shot in the head, that's great. And then Bruno coming in and using his zipper powers to the absolute extent of their ability. Again, like zipping himself apart into pieces, you know, zipping away, door to the carriage, and then like just trailing off on the side of the train as Beach Boy's coming through. Like, again, it's just great.
I mean, you said it. Yeah. It's almost like a final fight in itself.
Really, yeah, it really is.
Just the drama.
Mm-hmm.
They really pulled out all the stops this one. Because on the train.
Yeah. Oh, okay, Nathan. Well, do you want to guess what I would give this, Nathan?
1 million.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Okay, maybe a 9.
This is a 10 for me. Nah, this is a 10.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
That's perfect. There's nothing wrong with this fight. It's perfect.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have a sort of a different view of it, I suppose.
Okay, go on.
not to knock any of your points, but
No,
I do
that's
think
fine.
that it's a bit slow paced. I think in maybe the first half, as the Grateful Dead kind of just does its thing,
Yeah.
and they're trying to figure out how to stop it
I think
and
that's a
how to
boon for it.
counteract it.
I think that's good. I think you need the slow part of it. Because
Yeah,
if
yeah.
it
I
was
just
just
thought
fast
that
paced
at
from the
times.
start. Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, I would say that the actual Grateful Dead itself doesn't lend itself to a fast-paced fight because, of course,
Yeah.
it can't just go jumping around punching people.
Yeah.
So I say in that way, it's pretty cool. But at the same time, I feel as though there are points where it's just people sitting around going, "Oh, I'm becoming old. What do I do?" and despairing
Yeah,
about it
okay.
until eventually a breakthrough is made, and then it
Yeah.
kind of loops around again.
Fair enough. But I think, like, every JoJo fight starts with, what is going on? I don't know. We're all this for some reason. Like, you can't knock the fight for doing the regular JoJo
I would say so. It's just that it's more prominent than usual, I would say.
Okay. I think it sets tension. I think
Yeah,
sets up
yeah.
stakes and tension, and I think it's great.
And I think, of course, the Bruno's noble sacrifice, cool idea. It even manages to characterize one of the. It's like a literal Bullets character, who is very cool. I can't remember. Is it number 5? That's the cowardly one. He gets bullied, but he stands up for himself.
Yeah, no, he gets character development as well. Oh my god, I completely forgot about that.
Bullets.
It's just
and
great.
And a man who was an Easter Island statue.
1/5 of a stand, as well as an Easter Island statue. Sorry, one sec.
There are 6 bullets in the
Sec.
revolver.
Sorry.
Actually,
I'm sorry.
Anyway.
1/6 of a stand, and yes, an actual eggplant. What? What is it?
He has no neck. He has no.
No, he's
brain.
all neck. He is all neck, Nathan.
The giraffe man.
The neck doesn't
He's
stop.
let's say he's a palm tree. He's a palm tree.
I think he's a pineapple, actually.
Something.
Anyway.
Perhaps.
What would you give this fight,
He
Nathan?
can be all of them.
I think we've gone on for too long.
I mean, I don't think of highly of it as you do, but I'd give it an 8 just because.
Damn. All right.
I mean, yeah, it's weird, but I think it does. It definitely the 2 fights, of course, against the different stands flow into each other very well.
Yeah.
Given that the fishing rod. I don't know how
it's
a fishing
so cool.
rod.
I know that's what's
it
also so great about it. It's just the fishing. It's a fucking
that's
fishing rod.
It's just how does that even work?
But it's made
I mean, that's
they
what
made
I really enjoy about the
fishing
series.
rod actually deadly and intense. And oh god, what it's actually going to kill me. It's running up my arm right now. It's currently going towards my heart. Like.
Yeah, so that's my favorite type of stand where you underestimate it at first.
Yeah.
And you just think, this won't even be that bad. But they surprise you, of course, as they always do. And the payoff is very strong, and I'd say also it sort of has, especially in the case of Bruno, it's got lasting consequences.
Yeah.
So you definitely feel its effect. It's not just a random speed bump. It is. It's a major event.
Yeah. No, definitely.
And for that, it is definitely a very cool fight.
Cool. You're wrong though, for giving it an 8.
Oh, 8.5. 8.5.
All right, fair enough.
I'm a grateful man.
Oh my god. Anyway, the next fight. I like to forget about this fight, honestly.
Right.
I want to forget about this fight.
I feel the same way.
Babyface.
Makes me groan.
Let's ignore how the fight starts and actually talk about the fight.
Just bizarre.
Because I think the actual fight is pretty interesting. Let's forget how the stand was created. Like, get rid of that. Ignore that. It will come into the rating, but I don't want to talk about it. But just know I don't like it. The actual fight with like the cubes. What is the power? It's cubes. The power of cubes. What is this?
It just cuts.
Nathan, explain it.
It cuts out cubes. Wait. Let's just read the wiki page. Babyface. Yes. This is the easy way out. Feel free to quote me on this.
It is just cubes. I'm pretty sure it is just cubes, right?
Babyface is a highly unique stand functioning as a computer that can generate a secondary sentient and capable of element. But okay, so what does the secondary one do?
The secondary one is
It's a Full Metal Alchemist. It's homunculus. Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, okay. It's a homunculus.
So it will be born in as a baby, a baby computer, and it will be like a child. Yes, it will. It has all the functions of a child. God, this is just paragraphs upon paragraphs. Okay,
Okay,
here we
that's
go.
fine. I've got it. I've got it. It literally just turns
It
stuff into
breaks
cubes,
up
Nathan.
matter. Yeah, yeah. That'll be it. It
It
says
dissolves things into cubes.
Bucciarati is turned into nondescript cubes. It has the maths power of grid paper. It becomes grid paper.
Oh my god. But yeah, it sounds stupid, but it is used pretty well. Like how he takes a cube out of Jono's throat so he can't breathe as well, and then he takes an eye out of Jono so he can't see as well. And then the fight genuinely just goes on. But this is probably the most forgettable fight.
Absolutely.
The setup of the fight is not forgettable, but not forgettable in a bad way. Like, everyone remembers how this fight is set up, but no one remembers the actual fight. Even though there are some interesting stuff to it, I like how it allows Jono to realize that he can be a healer. Like, that's cool. Because there is a reason for this fight. Even though I want to forget about it, it is important. Because
God damn it! Why would you do this to me?
Jono does use this throughout the rest of the part. He now becomes the team's healer. Because he learns from this fight.
Indeed, it's plot hole central. It's just here you go. I turned a ladybug into an arm. There you go. Or vice versa. Thank you, Jono. Thank you.
Oh my god, but yeah, no.
Oh dear.
I haven't got much to say about this, honestly. It's just I'm currently flipping through the pages and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It's just a bunch of cubes and stuff happening. I don't like, the thing is, normally when I flip through these paragraphs, I'm like, oh yeah, this happened. I now remember, this is cool. I'm looking through this, I'm like, I've genuinely watched this fight like 3 times because I'm pretty sure I've watched 2 reactors watch this fight. I still have no idea what's going on. Like,
it's like, how can you get through that?
I don't know. It just keeps on going.
I know. And it says, oh, this stand is just weird. Why does it need to be born? Why? And it just says part of its power is being used as a regular computer.
Yeah, it's really stupid.
Imagine that. Oh, I got the power of a stand. What is it? Oh yes, you can look up internet, and also you can have children. Wow. Huh? What? But, and then the stand fellow who gives you your stand says, "Oh, deal with it." And here you go, cubes. Finally, you're happy now. You can turn people into
cubes. I feel like I'm ragging on this too much because genuinely, like, the fight of this fight is fine. Like, it's fine.
It exists.
I did also I completely forgot about this, but apparently the guy, like, he just walks off the train, he's like, oh, I'm fine now, and then gets killed by a snake that Jono makes. He, like, sends a snake after him, but he just gets killed by a snake. Okay. I genuinely
sums it all up, really. It just happens.
Yeah, this fight's a 5.
Very abrupt. I agree. 5 all the way. It's just why does this premise exist? The only good part, I think, is the saving grace. Yeah. I suppose is the antagonist catchphrase where he just shouts "Demolto" all the time.
Yeah. Again, if this fight genuinely wasn't if it wasn't structured in a decent way, like the actual fight portion, and if it didn't have lasting consequences, this could easily be like a 2 or a 3. But because, again, it sets up important stuff, and the fight's not bad, like, it's kind of cool in some aspects, I just can't remember any of it, that's why it's a 5. Could also be a 4. Like, maybe it's just average, and also there's some bad bits, so maybe it deserves to be a 4. I don't know. But anyway, let's give it a 5.
Ugh, yeah, moving on. Let's not dwell on this too much. It's like a child, I suppose. Yeah. And I don't want it anywhere near me. Get it away.
The next one is White Album, which I always remember to be really cool, and then I forget about anything that happens in it. It's another one of those.
Well, of course it's cool.
Yeah, okay, fine, Nathan. But it's another one of those where it isn't that memorable, but when you actually watch it, it's really good. It just doesn't have a lot of staying power. The only thing,
exciting at least while it's occurring.
Yes. The only thing I really remember about it is ice skates. He's got his stand is his body armor, and he's got ice skates.
I think that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes he can create ice.
Yeah, he can create ice. He freezes stuff. He's cold. It's a very basic stand, but like it's compared to part 3 where there was just a lot of it's a fire stand, it's a water stand. It is used really interestingly. Like the ice is used really well. Like they're in a car again, another moving vehicle fight. Not for the whole fight, but another one. They're like stuck to the windows, like they've been iced into the car. They can't leave the car. The car can't move properly, so they're gonna crash and they fall in the water. And it's another one where Mister's bullets don't do anything against this guy because you shoot him and it's ice. He's got ice armor.
Mister's whole gimmick is that the bullets don't work, which is a bit unfortunate. But wait a second, I just realised.
What?
Is his stand really just 5? Because I corrected you before, but is it? Because I think he doesn't like the number 4, does he?
Yeah.
So there wouldn't be a number. There's no number 4 bullet.
Yeah, but I think he has a 6. I'm pretty sure he does.
Or, is there a 7?
I feel like there is a 7.
Okay. Anyway, carry on.
1, 2. I'm looking at it right now, Nathan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, he does have 6 bullets in his gun. Okay, he has 6 bullets. I don't know if that means he has 6 stands.
Okay.
Yeah.
It would be 2. Yeah. Okay. So there is a 7. Okay.
There is a 7, yeah, because he doesn't like 4. I know. This is why I got confused, Nathan. It's alright. That was a funny touch.
Okay. I can be reassured. A momentary lapse.
Yeah. But again, I know the only other things I remember about this fight is again they end up in the water, and then right at the end, like the guy's pinned against a pole or something, and he's like, haha. Even though this thing should have gone into my head, like it didn't because I've got ice. But then Jono then kicks him, so his own icicle goes through his breathing socket or something. That's what I remember. He kicks him repeatedly, basically.
It's just he's got a weakness. You got to get that weakness.
But yeah, no. Again, watching this fight is really cool. I just don't really remember anything about it because it's just oh my god, he grows plants on the car that's in the water. When did this happen? Do you remember this? He grows plants. The car's in the water, which is iced up, and then Jono grows a bunch of plants.
He can grow plants anywhere, okay?
Okay, yeah, but he grows a bunch of plants to get out the car. I did not remember this. I thought they just got off the car.
That's the thing.
I thought they just left.
It kind of defies logic in a way.
Nothing is fine. I think it's fair enough. I think growing plants is fine. I just forgot he did it.
Although I do think it's pretty cool. Well, isn't the point where Mister's he is almost sacrificing himself, just shooting and shooting, even though he understands that the bullets are probably going to rebound and hit him anyway.
Yeah. But anyway, again, I'm just looking through this fight, and it's really cool. But again, it doesn't have as much of that. It's better than just good, but if it was memorable, this could easily be a 9, but I think it's an 8. Just because I just forget what happens in it.
In that case, I'd give it a 7, really.
Give it a 7?
Because I always like the idea of... I like ice.
Yeah.
Ice is my favourite Pokemon type.
Yeah.
You know? Winter's... Well, okay, it's not my favourite one. It's not my favourite season. But it's up there.
Yeah.
Maybe if I went to Iceland, then it would be a lot more fun.
Nathan, shut up.
Here in Mildland, you don't really get much of anything.
Oh my god, yeah, he does ricochet bullets. He's got a bunch of ice things around him which ricochet the bullets. God damn. This fight is so cool, Nathan. Come on. I forgot everything that happened in it, but actually reading it is so cool.
Everyone remembers it for the implied blowjob at the end.
Yeah, also that. I can't not give this an 8.
That's the most memorable part.
If it was just more memorable, it could be great. But again, it's just so well crafted fight that it's all moving. They're in the car, they're in the water, on the car, they're now on the side. Different stuff is happening. It's the literally the perfect structured fight. It just doesn't have that memorability for me, which is why I give it.
Yeah. It's an interesting idea. I think it shows the evolution of it's just here's an element,
Yeah.
and we're gonna take it and make it an ability. But at least instead of just, hey, this one breathes fire, it's an interesting spin on the this concept. But I think what's his name, the villain? But they're named after food, right? So this
Yeah.
guy's ice cream, I'm pretty sure.
I don't. Gelato.
Or is it
What is it?
Giacchio?
Yeah.
Anyway, he's the nerd emoji
Yes.
personified.
Okay. Yeah.
I
No, he
think he
is.
is annoying.
Anyway, the final fight of the first half, which technically isn't the first half of the actual number of fights. It's the first half of the show, but counting the number of fights, there's a lot less fights that happen after this. So technically, it's not. This is not the halfway point in the numbers.
I judge progression based on how many recaps have been aired up to this point.
Which for some reason part 5 has recaps. It's weird. Anyway.
How many? There are like 3, aren't there?
Yeah. It's the only part that does as well. Anyway.
Bizarre.
King Crimson, the first time around.
Oh, I love King Crimson so much.
You do this bit.
Wow. I think the build-up is insane. It's the tension just keeps ramping. Or it's, you realize they're about to meet the great big boss. No one's ever seen him. No one even knows what he looks like.
Yeah.
He's an incredible criminal mastermind. And then you see Bruno's been tricked. And he gets mad. And he goes to confront the boss.
The scene where Trish, his arm is just left hanging with the rest of her body disappears. That is such a great scene.
Left him hanging.
It's just so impactful. It's a great page turn. Trish is just there, and then there's just an arm. It's great.
Give me a hand.
And then it talks about Bruno's backstory for a lot of the fight. To be fair, a lot of the fight is taken up by Bruno's backstory.
I mean, of course, it does kill the pace.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't really see a better place for it.
Yeah, no, fair enough. We haven't really talked about backstories in this, but every character has gotten a backstory up to this point in a fight. So we're not really going to include it because everyone has had their fight taken up by a backstory. That is
what I say bogs down the first half of this because, of course, every member of the gang has to get their own fight.
They're all
that's when it gets.
And they all get their own backstory.
That's when you realise.
Yeah, they're all good backstories, though. Is the thing. It just does feel a little bogged down of the whole plot. Okay, I agree with you on that. But anyway,
it does grind a lot of fights to a halt.
Yeah. But this actual fight is also really cool because it's King Crimson. His first introduction where everyone gets confused about his powers. Because
it just works.
It just works. I could explain it because I did at one point know how it works, but I've forgotten, so I'm not going to.
Yeah, I think, but the idea in itself is just.
It's cool. It's another time ability. Every big villain, JoJo villain, has to have some time ability, and it's definitely not the one you think of next, but it's a cool one. I enjoy the concept of it. It's just a bit confusing, which is fine by me.
Yeah.
Because I'm fine with confusing. I watch Monogatari.
No problem. That's a joke for you guys out there. Comment down below if you get it.
Nathan, goddamn.
I'm getting the hang of this.
Wow. Yeah, I enjoy confusing stuff. Moving past that awful joke Nathan just said.
It was an observation. I'm serious.
I enjoy confusing stuff. I don't mind that King Crimson is a bit confusing because I still understand it on a base level. This fight is tense. You're like, oh my god, the big boss is actually the villain. Who would have thought?
Incredible.
That Brucerati just literally just getting battered, basically, is what it is. But just surviving on the skin of his teeth, but not even surviving. He actually does die. He gets donuted.
Yeah.
He does die. He gets donuted. But saving Trish...
his death is in stages. So first stage is...
Stage 1 of death, yes.
Grateful Death / Beach Boy.
Yeah.
Then this fight. And then finally... Well, you know what happens next.
Yeah. My only problem, quote-unquote, with this fight is it isn't much of a fight.
It's a survival.
It doesn't really feel like an interlude, but it is just sort of okay, we're now switching to the second part. I understand that it's important, but for me, it does feel a little, I don't know, something again, it is just a beat down of Butterath. He's just getting destroyed, basically. It's not a conclusion to the fight. Really, the conclusion is, oh, okay, the boss is the villain now. Whereas I feel like in other like halfway like fights with the main villain, I'm just gonna use the part 4 example, not the part 6, just in case. But again, like in halfway through part 4 where we fight Kira, you know, a good deal of damage is done. You know a lot about Kira. A lot is found out about Kira. You know, they've done a lot of damage to him. Whereas with this, during the fight, we gain no extra knowledge on Diavolo at all.
Yeah.
Is the
I
thing.
mean, maybe that was the point.
Yeah. Like, you get to see his stand, but that is it. Like, it's just like a hint of, hey, here's our stand, basically. That's what this fight is. It's just, look at this cool stand. Look at this cool stand. Basically. Like,
yeah.
I feel like it would have been more impactful if we got a little glimpse at Diavolo, maybe. Maybe not his how he fully looked, but, like, again, the glimpse is literally just his voice. Like, because he's just a shadowy figure.
It's his motivation, I suppose.
Yeah.
The fact that he really is a nice guy. Who'd have thought that the leader of the mafia was...
Anyway, yeah, this fight's great. Again, you've heard my only criticism about it, which normally any confrontation with the final villain for me is a 10, but just because of that little thing, I think it's a 9.
You know what? I'm inclined to agree.
Yeah. Like, I feel like genuinely it's so weird. I mentioned this before, how I think in the part 3 video where every confrontation with the final villain will be any confrontation with the final villain would be a 10 apart from part 5, and when I thought about it, I meant the final confrontation, but also this one. I'm now realizing that this one also doesn't deserve a 10. Sorry, did I? Yeah. Well.
Nah, I mean, it's understandable, honestly. They just don't quite reach the heights of other fights.
But again, I will mention this again. That most of the time, every confrontation with the final villain's a 10. Like I don't know, something about Diavolo. But to be fair, there is another confrontation with Diavolo in this, technically, which
of course,
I do also think is probably one of the greatest stand fights in JoJo. We will get up to it in a bit, but yeah.
Diavolo's I think one of his main gimmicks is cool.
Yeah.
And of course that kind of lends to his character, but at the same time, that means I was more sympathetic towards Doppio. I think I was more attached to him than the actual.
We'll get to Doppio.
Diavolo himself.
Because Doppio does make that fight. But yeah, there we go. 9 for this.
It's
good. Again, the whole like how it changes the whole like flow of, not the flow, but like the
I think
you know
flow
what I mean?
Does work, right?
The flow, yeah. And losing Fugo and realizing that we need to save Trish, like, yeah, cool. Like it.